All right, that's it. That's the most you're going to get. Good evening or good day, wherever you are. A little bit of sunset left here in Jerusalem and a whole heck of a lot of news. I have absolute whiplash. I have whiplash because we have gone from um, Iran, bomb shelters. Before that, from Gaza, Jerusalem, and now to DC, and now to who knows where, because now we are talking about very dramatic news. Oh, I'm going to pause him right there. I'm going to pause Netanyahu right there. I mean, I don't even know if I start with the big things or if I start with the list I made, which is already irrelevant. I was going to, well, first of all, there's a lot of, I just want to catch up a little bit on a few things. The war ended. The war that was just very intense and all consuming for 12 days for both people living here, both Israelis and Palestinians alike. And for the Gazans, it never ended, but also for Iranians who had no idea what was going to happen. And this massive intensity for, as President Trump has now declared, the 12-day war. But that it just ended. We just woke up one day and it's like, oh, it's over. There's a ceasefire. And there were, so the fact that, so the US just comes in and finishes the job that Israel was doing, just, boom, 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 no pun intended, 3 nuclear sites, bombed them all. Of course, now saying we completely destroyed it, and the Iranians say it was damaged, but not destroyed, whatever. And then, like you think, oh, okay, they're going to keep going and finish whatever other goals they want to finish. But you know what? They declared ceasefire. Trump said, we're going to have a ceasefire. That's it. It's over. No more fighting. These guys have been fighting for so long. They don't know what the F they're doing. I mean, if you just go scrolling through Trump's social media and his comments, you'd be like, oh my gosh. All right. So then we wake up this morning, or was it last night when they said it, where Trump decided that Israel, the judicial system in Israel, needs to drop the charges against Netanyahu. Now, what did I say when this war ended suddenly, very, very suddenly, giving us, like I said, whiplash? It's like we were going 200 miles an hour and then it was like 0. I said, what are they getting out of it? What is Israel getting out of it, and what are the Iranians getting out of it? Well, we're starting to see what Israel's getting out of it. I don't yet know what Iran is getting out of it, but what is Israel getting out of it? Let me find this quote here from President Trump. This was starting to trickle out last night, and then this morning, and then today. Breaking news. This is Trump declares, breaking news. I was shocked to hear that the state of Israel, which has just had one of its greatest moments in history and is strongly led by Bibi Netanyahu, is continuing its ridiculous witch hunt against the great wartime prime minister. Bibi and I just went through, all caps, hell together, fighting a very tough and brilliant longtime enemy of Israel, Iran. And Bibi could not have been better, sharper, or stronger in his capital, all caps, love for the incredible Holy Lands. Anybody else would have suffered losses, embarrassments. Daniel, yeah, go over there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, Daniel.
Kid just walked out without his shorts on. But anyway, okay. So yeah, we almost had a violation here of all sorts of things. But we're having a violation here because you know what? Breaking news. This trial's been going on for years, and it keeps getting, of course, with the war with Gaza, they keep delaying it every time there's supposed to be a hearing. Netanyahu will say, well, his counsel will argue that he should not be have to go to trial because of national security interest, national security. So that's gone on and on and on. So anyway, not really breaking news for us here. Okay. So they eliminated nuclear weapons and it was going to happen soon. We were fighting literally for the survival of Israel, and there is nothing in Israel's history that nobody that fought harder or more completely than Bibi Netanyahu. Despite all this, I just learned that Bibi has been summoned to court on Monday for the continuation of this long running. He has been going through this horror show since May of 2020, unheard of. This is the first time a sitting Israeli prime minister has ever been on trial. Politically motivated case concerning cigars, a Bugs Bunny doll, and numerous other unfair charges in order to do him great harm. Such a witch hunt. So the state of it said Bibi Netanyahu's trial should be canceled immediately or a pardon given to a great hero. And he goes on and then the all caps last sentence, and this goes on and on, by the way, I'm not reading all of it. This travesty of justice cannot be allowed. What is he doing interfering in the Israeli judicial system? I mean, now all the Israelis that were suddenly on his side are now probably like against him because there's like, huge movements of people that want Netanyahu out. And they were hoping that this trial was going to find him guilty and that he would have to be removed. But in any case, I cannot say the charges are, I haven't heard any convincing arguments either way. So I don't know. It's still like it's still going on. So who knows? Like, who knows? But in any case, like, who interferes like this? That's unbelievable. So that's not it. Now, if that's one thing that maybe was a promise, but here is the other one. Okay, we're gonna just watch the TV. Not that you can see it very well. You see our mess. We had a great victory. We fought with great strength against Iran. Oh, wait. I missed the money line. Hold on. אנחנו נלחמנו בעוז נגד איראן והשגנו ניצחון גדול. והניצחון הזה פותח הזדמנות להרחבה דרמטית של הסכמי השלום. Okay, this victory is opening a huge door for the Abraham Accords to widen in a dramatic way. That is unbelievable. So somehow all of this war with Iran is now they're planning to widen the Abraham Accords. You guys know about the Abraham Accords? It's the normalization agreements that were made, brokered by Trump, but between Israel and some Gulf nations. Like first it was the UAE and Bahrain. Morocco joined, Sudan joined, but like people don't really refer to them as being in the Abraham Accords anymore. So anyway, so who could possibly be involved? I'm going to show you a picture. Okay, let me see if I can find which one. There was somebody, some organization created a banner over. Oh, whoa. No, I did not want that to just start playing. I'll deal with that in a second, but here it is. Now, where is... I have to shut myself off here. Do you guys hear me? But anyway, that's a great video that you should go see, and it's already old news. All right, so where am I? Here we are. Okay, look at this picture. The Abrahamic Alliance. It's time for a new Middle East. So I can't see very clear. View gallery. Maybe I'll see a little better. I need to make this a little bigger. Is that the King of Jordan? Look at here, right here. That's Julani from Syria. Like, I don't know who this is. That's Abbas, Palestinian president. not prime minister, right? President. This is Sisi from Egypt. This is MBS from Saudi Arabia. Trump, Netanyahu. I believe this is UAE. I think this guy here, I think this is Oman. And then I think that the last one here is Qatar. And the one above, I'm also not sure. But so they are, they put up this. Oh, that there you go. There's Giuliani. I mean, he's been meeting. He was invited to join the Abraham Accords. Like, can anybody explain that to me? Like, there was just a massive terror attack on a church there where about 20 people were killed. I mean, is that like, is this like, this guy hasn't proven himself? Anyway, the billboards feature, I'll read a little bit of the article. This is from Ynet. The billboards featuring the slogan, "It's time for a new Middle East," shows Arab leaders, including the kings of Bahrain and Morocco. Oh, those were the few that I didn't recognize. Okay, the Sultan of Oman, the leaders of the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon. Oh, it was Ayoun, the one all the way to the left, I think. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, and prominently Syria's Ahmed al-Shara, who's, when I say his name as Giuliani, because that's how he was introduced to the world. So at least in this recent news. Okay, so here's a line here. The inclusion of Shara, whose country's ties with Israel remain deeply fraught, drew sharp reactions in the region. A Syrian Telegram channel condemned the appearance of Syria's president next to the Zionist enemy in a normalization campaign. Iraq's pro-Iranian submarine agency labeled al-Shara, Giuliani, and Abbas terrorists featured in the normalization effort. Lebanese outlets linked the poster to Witkoff's remarks, interpreting them as signals that Israel's success against Iran could accelerate Arab states joining the Abraham Accords. So anyway, and as this goes on to say that was in 2020, September 2020. And by the way, in case you were thinking this could be far off, well, think again. The latest news, which literally just came in after I was done and ready to start doing the news here, is that Netanyahu is going to be going to the White House in the coming days. So I don't know if that's 100% confirmed, but that is the news. Now, what else? Here's another really good one, but I've got to find which article it is. This one here, I think this is it. Okay, let's go here. Yes, okay. This is Israel Hayom, which means Israel Today. This is a right-wing Israeli news outlet. Trump and Netanyahu's two-state vision, Gaza's wars and Abraham Accords expansion. So, according to this report, they reached consensus on these fundamental principles in general terms. Gaza hostilities to conclude within 2 weeks. Abraham Accords expansion to include Syria and Saudi Arabia. Oh, wait, I'm shaking my head. It's about a two-state solution with limited Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria, or the West Bank. All right, let's read a little bit of this article, which I think they broke this story, Israel Hayom. A four-way telephone conversation between U.S. President Donald Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer occurred directly after the American assault on Iran's nuclear installations. According to a source familiar with the discussion's substance, Israel Hayom learned that all participants expressed extreme enthusiasm regarding the B-2 bombers and were experiencing what the source characterized as, quote, euphoria. Yet the tremendous satisfaction among the four leaders derived not merely from operational achievements, but also from future strategic planning. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu aim to swiftly pursue fresh peace arrangements with Arab states. Okay, so here, this is the picture right here of the 2020 signing of the Abraham Accords. On the left is the leader of Bahrain, and then there's Netanyahu, Trump, and then on the right, the um, leader of the, it was a foreign minister of, these were the Bahraini foreign minister and the UAE foreign minister on the right. Okay, now they plan rapid implementation of these fundamental principles that they reached a consensus on. Gaza hostilities will conclude within 2 weeks. Ending conditions will encompass four Arab nations, including Egypt and the UAE, to administer the Gaza Strip, replacing Hamas. And Hamas will be exiled to other countries. Now, did Hamas agree to this? I missed that part because they haven't agreed to anything yet. Multiple nations globally will accept Gaza inhabitants seeking emigration. By the way, other countries, but not maybe their family members in Bethlehem or in Ramallah. Like they can't go to the West Bank, at least according to what was previously agreed upon. I don't know about this one. Abraham Accords expansion will bring Syria, Saudi Arabia, and additional Arab and Muslim countries to recognize Israel and establish official relationships. Israel will declare its willingness for future Palestinian conflict resolution under the two states concept, contingent upon the Palestinian Authority reforms. And the U.S. will acknowledge limited Israeli sovereignty implementation in Judea and Samaria / West Bank. So anyway, I mean, is anybody's head spinning like mine is right now? Because literally, like we just got out of a war. We just got done with a war. We still have a war going on in the background. And was there the word hostages in that article? Because there's 50 hostages. Well, let me go back there actually. Let me just do a quick search and whatever. Oh, yeah, it was the end of the first sentence. Okay, yeah. So of the clause, yeah. So yes, hostages as well would be released. There's 50, and yeah. So what do you guys make of this? So all of this, I mean, like whirlwind. It's like a whirlwind. That I cannot believe. There was something I was going to tell you. In the midst of all of this whirlwind, where's Iran? Where are they? Okay, they were badly damaged. They lost their nuclear capabilities, probably at least for a long time. Debatable, but whatever. And they lost a lot of their IRGC. They lost a lot of nuclear scientists. They lost some of their military troops, like the Besiege, all these like local law enforcement, local morality enforcement forces. And in the meantime, what happened since the end of the war? They already executed 3 people that were accused of spying. I mean, I can't see how there was a fair trial in the last 3 days. They had celebrations declaring, I think they call it divine victory over Israel. The Ayatollah declared victory. He also said that the U.S. would get another slap. Uh, anyway, we'll see about that. The first one was really, really weak. But there was no regime change over there. And that is what many people were hoping for. And if you saw the video, the interview that I did with Zohre Mizrahi, who is from Iran and now lives in the US, I sent her message. I think we recorded the interview, and well, maybe she was awake. She's 10 hours behind me, but I went to bed and woke up to the ceasefire. So it was almost like irrelevant between sirens and missile alerts. I was actually like trying to get the interview up as fast as possible. Tony was like, "Why are you posting this at like 7 a.m? Nobody's awake here or in America." And I was like, "Because it's going to be old news in about 1 hour. I have to get it up before the ceasefire goes into effect." So I think I tried to get it up before 7 a.m, just so it would be somewhat relevant for like 2 minutes. But I messaged her and I'm like, "So, what do you think of this outcome? How are you feeling about it?" And she said, "Miserable and worried about the outcome. there have been arrests and retaliation against people already. So that is, I was saying all along that the best outcome, the most sure outcome, if people are really looking for a nuclear-free Iran and for a friendlier or more democratic state that could possibly join the Abraham Accords, although they would call it the Cyrus Accords because they're Persian. But the best outcome would have been a regime change, and not one engineered by Israel or by the US, but by the people who live there, who are subject to the Islamic Revolution that overtook the country. So that would have the people that I have spoken to, and a lot of the Iranians in the media that are speaking out now, the exiled Iranians are saying that the people want democracy. And so imagine if anybody helped them a little bit get over the finish line. I haven't been able to check what Reza Pahlavi is saying. He's the exiled crown prince from the Shah days, and he gave a press conference calling for the people to rise up, and now is the time, and to do a revolution, and then it was like 24 hours later the war was over. The kind of the possibilities of this revolution is over, or are over. I don't know. I mean, it's if they are back, if the IRGC is back, if the morality police is back, the Basij is still operating, then I don't see, how does another revolution become possible. So anyway, okay, so just some more things, and just to wrap up, because then we should talk a little bit about Gaza. I said I was going to yesterday, and also some things with the Palestinians here in the West Bank. That Israel has said that they have admitted that they had agents on the ground. And actually, on the news tonight, they were talking about. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but just a brief headline that the plans for this operation were kept secret from even the pilots until they were about to take off, and so that's how it came as such a shock to so many people. But they actually admitted that they had agents on the ground. At the point that I read that, they didn't specify if it was Mossad or others, but anyway. So, so that's interesting. I don't know if they're still there. They didn't mention that part. So, okay, so now, and I just want to say hi to Walter. Let me see. Yeah, I'm also concerned about the lack of regime change. By the way, when you interview Marzi, definitely let me know so I can check it out. All right, so we're going to just check out a few articles, because while we have been fully consumed with this war, there was a lot going on. In Gaza. There's still war that never ended. There were, some hostages' bodies were recovered. Some Israeli soldiers died, but the big story that wasn't really reported, at least not in the mainstream media, and then only today in the Israeli media, or in the last couple of days since the Iran thing calmed down. After a month, deadly shootings near Gaza aid sites still a near daily menace. 500 reported killed trying to reach Gaza Humanitarian Foundation locations. That's the new aid company. It's an American humanitarian aid company or they call it a company organization. Anyway, that's in Gaza. That was the Israeli approved new humanitarian aid effort. They had some sort of different method that was supposed to keep Hamas out, but instead it seems to have created daily conflicts between Israeli soldiers and Palestinians. Whether it's, I mean, Palestinians are being killed by the dozens. Let's see. Let's just read a little bit of this. Nearly a month after deadly shootings were first reported around aid distribution sites in areas of Gaza under Israeli military control, mass casualty incidents are still occurring on an almost daily basis. The GHF, which manages the aid sites, has consistently disavowed any responsibility for the reported deaths of hundreds of people trying to obtain humanitarian assistance it distributes. The IDF, which is accused of carrying out the shootings, has acknowledged regret in some cases and says it is instituting changes aimed at making it easier for Gazans to reach the sites. But while the IDF says it is looking into this incidents, they appear to have continued apace. So look, from May 27th to June 24th, and of course within that was it was June 13th that it started with Iran. At least 19 IDF shooting incidents related to humanitarian aid distribution sites, according to a report by the Times of Israel. These numbers have not been confirmed by Israeli authorities. And in many cases, the IDF has either declined to respond or stated it was unaware of the incidents. Many of the events were not documented with photographic evidence at the scene. Only images of bodies and injured individuals arriving at hospitals in Gaza have surfaced. So Hamas says 467, well, not Hamas, it's the health ministry that says 467 people have been killed since GHF started on May 26th. So now, and then there was another incident where yesterday, most of the aid is going into the south of Gaza. So yesterday they said, "Oh, we'll put a few trucks in through the north, through the Israeli kibbutz of Zikim," and they let them go in there. And there was another mass casualty event. I mean, it's unbelievable. Meanwhile, I was watching on Instagram an influencer from Gaza who was there with some kids, and she said they're starving and they're only eating one bowl of lentils a day. She said the kids only get one meal a day. And she showed like this one kid who was really listless. There's no way to know for sure. Okay, that's it. He's like that's why, or he was just tired. But seriously, like this is a lot of other organizations are confirming this. So I have a few others that I could show you. Let's see, because there's another one, Haaretz, also another Israeli publication that calls it a fatal failure. Israel's Gaza aid policy leaves dozens killed daily as they seek food. So this is another one. This is a disaster. There's also, of course, reports of Hamas taking over the aid sites. And then there were I did report on another thing where the what do you call it? And this is, by the way, this is the Red Cross. 470,000 people face starvation as the situation becomes desperate. You know what? Let me make sure this is actually, yep, it's updated on the 25th. So this is yesterday. So they say 470,000 people in Gaza face starvation, 22% of the population. The death toll is about 52,000. And there's 118,000 injured. Healthcare system is on the edge of collapse. 90% of the population has been forced to flee their homes. 90% of the population. Wait, let me repeat that. 90% of the population has been forced to flee their homes. Well, and I mean, that makes sense considering the army is controlling about 30% or more of the Gaza Strip at the moment. So anyway, so food supplies are still not getting to everybody, and medical supplies are, medical care is is really at a minimum. So, all right. Anyway, let's see. Now we're going to go to, in other Palestinian news, the um, the West Bank. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to start with the New Arab, but you will also see this is, as the name implies, an Arab publication, and then we'll also see an Israeli publication. So this is just, I think this is from today, yes, because this happened yesterday. 3 Palestinians shot dead by Israeli army amid settler violence. So apparently, settlers, Israeli settlers, went on a rampage in this town, Arab town, Kfar Malik, near Ramallah, and there have been a lot of reports recently of. We'll see that in the other article of violence. And then when the Israeli army responded, let's see, according to the settler attack triggered confrontations with Palestinians in the area. Later, an Israeli government statement confirmed that settlers had set fire to Palestinian property, prompting the deployment of police and military units. After reports emerged that residents had responded with stone throwing, footage shared on social media showed 2 vehicles set alight during the unrest. The Israeli military stated that 5 Israeli suspects were arrested in connection with the attack, though some reports indicate the soldiers had been present while the settlers carried out the attack. Okay, so what is it? Hamas condemns the crimes of the occupation. There's a shock. Um, and urge Palestinians to stand up to the occupation and settler gangs. Okay. And here's another. The latest assault came just hours after the military shot and killed a Palestinian boy in Jenin. The Palestinian Red Crescent identified the victim as Rayan Tamer Hushia, who, according to the health ministry, was shot in the neck. And then another incident that also just happened. A woman in Jerusalem, 66-year-old woman, I would not call her elderly, um, was in Shuafat refugee camp. Well, I mean, that's just like 15 minutes from here, not even. Zahia Jude Al Obedi, 66, died after being shot in the head. What I read in another article is that she was on the roof of her building. She went up to the roof to get some fresh air and was shot. So let's see I want to go to now here is an Israeli publication. 8 incidents reported last week of settler violence, and this is from the 22nd of June. So this is not in the last 2 days. So these other incidents I just said are recent news, but this is going back to even before that. Okay, so the Yesh Din organization, which monitors settler violence, counts some 8 incidents over the course of 6 days last week in which settlers allegedly attacked Palestinians or their property in the West Bank. This organization, which opposes the settlement movement, said settlers set fire to trees and vandalized property in these Palestinian villages. While Palestinian motorists were stopped and assaulted by armed settlers. Settlers also reportedly threw stones at homes in the Palestinian hamlet of Susia in the southern Hebron Hills on June 17th and assaulted one of the residents, leaving him with a head wound. While another stone throwing incident by settlers was reported not far away in the Jabal Jalas neighborhood of Hebron. On June 18, 19, and 21, Susia was the subject of vandalism, attacks, and assault by settlers. And on June 19th, land belonging to the village of Sorif, north of Hebron, was set ablaze and villagers were shot at, resulting in the death of a 48-year-old Palestinian man, the organization said, and was reported by Wafa, the official news agency of the Palestinian Authority. Under the cover of war and with public attention focused elsewhere, settlers across the West Bank continue to attack, harass, and harm Palestinian residents as they please, without being bothered by Israeli law enforcement, says Yesh Din, the organization that I'm quoting from. So, okay. So, anyway, so I just took you on a little tour of the Middle East whiplash that has gone from Gaza to Iran to Jerusalem to Gaza to the West Bank and on their way to Washington, D.C. right now, like all over the world, all sorts of changes, all sorts of insanity. And I am looking to see if there is any breaking news right now for you. And hello to Adam. Thank you for joining. Adam, do you have any of your very hard to answer questions that you usually pose? That was great last time, I have to say. Okay. Defense Minister Israel Katz, ironically, is on TV right now. Israel's air superiority must be maintained. So it looks like Israel's staying to stay there. Oh, Adam came up with a good question right away. Okay. Would you feel safe going to Hebron? Just trying to get a feel for the climate. I don't know what it's like these days in the city of Hebron itself, and I look like a foreigner, so it's, I'm conspicuous, but I've definitely driven through like the whole going south, like I've taken that road, like through the West Bank, through the settlements, through the Arab villages, Palestinian villages, through Susia, all the way down to the checkpoint down there. So yes, I have done it, but I don't necessarily know what it's like. If I don't know if it's a good time to go into Hebron or not. Maybe it is, and I just don't know. Definitely, like somebody was saying that they were scared to go to the old city, and I was like, that's the safest place in the whole country. They don't have bomb shelters, and yet they're immune. So, oh, and Walter asked, what do you think is going to happen with the ceasefire? Well, I think it looks, I mean, I think it's going to stand because everybody is getting something out of it. And I think they're going to like what they're getting out of it. I don't know what Iran gets out of it. Oh, another interesting thing I knew. Sorry. we all just, I know, we all have PTSD. You hear the siren back there. Right. We all looked at each other like, nope, the ceasefire was just broken. We're running. Hold on. Wait, I knew I had more notes. Actually, crazy stuff. It was something about what Iran, because Trump said something like Iran is going to have to negotiate directly with us now. And like, oh, the U.S. Secretary of State, so that's Rubio now, right? We only accept direct negotiations with Iran. There is no such thing as indirect negotiations through a third or fourth country, which is what had been happening. And an analyst here noted that is like a humiliation to the Iranian leaders. So that is interesting. And let me see. I like this guy. So let me see what else he has to say. That he said, oh, yes, he said something really, he said the Iranians are not stupid and do not be confused. They knew when they built this facility that the weak point for its destruction would be the ventilation pipes. The truth is that every fool knows this. That is why the ventilation pipes were not built in a straight line, but in a zigzag shape, precisely to prevent a bomb from penetrating through the ventilation shaft into the interior halls of the facility. Is that true? I mean, if that's true, that's insane. So that I thought was very interesting. I'm just going through all my notes, see if there's anything like really interesting. All right, done with that bit. And okay, Adam just asked where that. Yeah, I know. You're in the U.S., right? So yeah, not good coverage. And especially now that the war's over and now that America is not involved anymore, you won't get coverage and know what's happening. So the defense minister literally just said that we are going to maintain air superiority over, or we need to maintain it. There also have been reports of explosions across Iran in the past 2 days, but nobody knows what they are and nobody is saying what that means. Is it Israel? Like nobody's accusing Israel. So I don't know. I this, but this is what's out there. Um, I was going to say before, and this was in my notes, that the the Israelis were trying to use in Gaza, and I don't know if they still are, local militias to defend the humanitarian aid sites, so that those local militias would be the ones like opposing Hamas directly, as opposed to Israel facing Hamas and then getting accused of killing civilians in the crossfire. So anyway, I don't know if that's still working, but somebody did make a comment somewhere like they need that. I think it's Abu Shabab or something, that they need the Abu Shabab, like a similar militia up in northern Gaza, because they're only in southern Gaza, and they're also like they're in Egypt. And and last but not least, another interesting thing is that the Lebanese Druze leader, Walid Jumblat, who has always been against Israel, however, is now sort of sending a message to Hezbollah. He said, his quote is, "A new page has been opened in the Middle East, and my message to everyone is hand over your weapons to the state." And he notes that Israel and the West won in this latest war. And so it's like a message to Hezbollah that you need to, back off. You need to step down now, because you don't have your supporter. Nobody wants to mess with Iran, now. So I found that interesting, because there has been, like in Lebanon, there's been a push lately to disarm Hezbollah, but it's, of course, like it's amazing it's even being said publicly at all, because it used to be that if you said that you would be targeted. But now there are more and more voices, and he's one of the louder voices. It's a very sectarian country. There's a lot of factions, and he's the head of the Druze there, and or at least one particular Druze. I think there's a few actually. But so it's interesting that he has come out and said that, and joined voices that are calling for Hezbollah to disarm. And Hezbollah really has brought down uh, Lebanon. I mean, they came in some ways, like, and it's just like Hamas, like with yes, with the military agenda, but also at the same time with the humanitarian agenda, like the social welfare, like they would help people, like social workers, um, they poured money into families and to infrastructure, and made themselves like ingratiated there. People were receiving from them, so that's how they won influence there. But after this last devastating war for Hezbollah, they are losing favor there. Okay, Adam asks, have I ever been to Gaza? No. Nope, I would have liked to have gone. Now is not the time, obviously. Um, I could have gone up until 2005 very easily, but it got very much more difficult. Well, I only had a few years. I got here 2002. So I think it was easier back then. And since then, it was a lot harder. And it was just never worth me trying to do that like on my own. It's better if you go like with an organization or media or whatever. And my work never brought me there. Um, Always thought it was weird that Hezbollah was able to basically control a section of Lebanon apart from the military. Yeah, well, but everybody has like a piece of Lebanon. So, and they got a big piece of it and of the government because they have like, they had a lot of seats in the government as well. So, all right. Why are they still interviewing the defense minister? This is a really long interview and they were all doing it. Um, all right. So that is it for my report. There's so much. And I think that, that we're going to see, everybody says it's imminent. I love the word imminent. I I don't know if you were following like a couple months ago, always joked about the word imminent because every deal was imminent, it's an imminent deal and it never happens, nothing ever happens. So the word imminent has lost its meaning. But apparently an imminent announcement of new countries joining, or more countries joining the Abraham Accords, and Netanyahu possibly going to DC in the coming days. And I didn't see. Let me just see if his office announced that, or if it's just like rumors on the news here, because that's usually how it starts, and it tends to be right. Nope, but his video here just about. Oh, so I'm just going to read you his quote that I played before in Hebrew, but here's the translation, better than mine. Our scripture says, the Lord shall grant strength to his people. The Lord shall bless his people with peace. Psalm 29:11. We have fought with strength against Iran and achieved a great victory. That victory opens an opportunity for a dramatic expansion of the peace agreements. We are working vigorously on that. Along with the release of our hostages and the defeat of Hamas, there is a window of opportunity here that must not be wasted. We must not waste even a single day. And there you go. This is why Israel agreed to the ceasefire. This is most likely why Israel agreed to the ceasefire. Next, we need to know why that guy, not that guy, the Ayatollah, agreed to it. And so that is yet to come. So, anyway, stay tuned because we'll all find out. All right. Thanks for joining and have a great day, night. Adam, Walter, thank you. This was very lively. Love the questions and the comments and the observations. Fantastic.